Imagine being just 20 years old and inheriting not just a kingdom, but also the most powerful army in the known world. Now imagine using that power to conquer most of the civilized world by age 30, remaining undefeated in every single battle. This isn't fiction. This is the true story of Alexander the Great, perhaps history's most successful military commander. In 356 BCE, in the Kingdom of Macedon, a baby boy was born to King Philip II and Queen Olympias. According to legend, on the night of his birth, the Temple of Artemis in Ephesus burned down, leading soothsayers to predict that a person born that day would conquer Asia. They couldn't have been more right. Young Alexander's education was as extraordinary as his destiny. His personal tutor was none other than the famous philosopher Aristotle, who taught him literature, philosophy, and scientific investigation. But it wasn't just his mind that was being shaped. Alexander was also becoming a skilled warrior. By age 12, he had already tamed the supposedly untamable horse Bucephalus, which would become his trusted companion throughout his conquests. At 16, while his father was away at war, Alexander served as regent of Macedon. When a local tribe revolted, the teenage prince didn't wait for instructions. He crushed the rebellion and established his first colony, Alexandria Alexandropolis, the first of many cities that would bear his name. Everything changed in 336 BCE when King Philip was assassinated. Alexander, now 20, quickly secured his position as king, putting down rebellions with decisive force. The Greek cities that had been under his father's control thought they could break free from Macedonian rule. They were wrong. Alexander's response was swift and brutal, making an example of Thebes by destroying the entire city. With Greece firmly under his control, Alexander turned his attention east to the mighty Persian Empire. In 334 BCE, he crossed the Hellespont with 40,000 infantry and 5,000 cavalry. At the Battle of Granicus River, he demonstrated the tactical brilliance that would become his trademark. Leading from the front, Alexander personally led the charge across the river, nearly getting killed in the process. One of his most famous victories came at Issus in 333 BCE, where he defeated Persian King Darius III, despite being outnumbered at least 2-1. Alexander's battle strategy was revolutionary. He spotted a weakness in the Persian line and struck there personally with his cavalry, aiming directly for Darius. The Persian king fled, leaving his army in chaos. The conquest of Egypt followed, where Alexander was welcomed as a liberator from Persian rule. The Egyptians proclaimed him pharaoh and son of the god Amun. It was here that he founded the most famous Alexandria, a city that would become the cultural and intellectual center of the ancient world for centuries. But Alexander wasn't done. He pushed further east, defeating Darius again at Gaugamela in 331 BCE. This battle showcased Alexander's genius for tactics. Before thousands of Persian cavalry and scythed chariots, he used a feigned retreat to create a gap in the Persian lines, then led his elite cavalry straight through it toward Darius, who fled once again. At just 26 years old, Alexander was now ruler of the Persian Empire, but his ambition knew no bounds. He continued east into modern-day Afghanistan and India. At the Battle of the Hydaspes River, he faced something entirely new: war elephants. Yet even these massive beasts couldn't stop him. He adapted his tactics and won again. What made Alexander truly great wasn't just his military victories. He was a cultural revolutionary. Unlike previous conquerors, he didn't simply subjugate the peoples he defeated. Instead, he adopted local customs, wore Persian dress, and encouraged his officers to marry local noblewomen. He aimed to create a new culture blending Greek and Eastern traditions. As his companion Ptolemy wrote, Alexander did not simply want to win battles, he wanted to change the world. He created an empire where Greek culture, language, and ideas spread from Egypt to India, giving birth to the Hellenistic age that would influence civilization for centuries to come. But even Alexander couldn't conquer death. In 323 BCE, at just 32 years old, he fell ill in Babylon and died. Some say it was poison, others blame malaria or typhoid. The empire he built would soon fragment into smaller kingdoms, but his legacy lived on. Alexander's impact on history cannot be overstated. He created trade routes between Europe and Asia that would last for centuries. He spread Greek culture and language across 3 continents. Cities he founded became major centers of commerce and learning. His military tactics are still studied in military academies today. Perhaps most remarkably, Alexander showed that great achievements know no age limit. He had conquered most of the known world before turning 30, traveled further than any previous European army, and remained undefeated in battle throughout his life. His famous quote still resonates today: "There is nothing impossible to him who will try." The legend of Alexander the Great continues to inspire and intrigue us, reminding us that one person's vision and determination can indeed change the course of history. What would our world look like today if Alexander had lived beyond his 32 years? We can only imagine the further heights this remarkable young conqueror might have reached.